This says, I am new to the lesbian community and I have a question. I'm just confused. Can someone identify as femme to try it out and later in life realize you made a mistake and you feel more butch or neither? I'm not sure what it actually says. It always cuts it off. Here's the beauty about being a human and words. We are allowed to try things out to see if it fits. Just like clothing, you can try out identities and see if they fit. You're not lying when you say, as a young person, you're coming out as lesbian, you're like, I think I'm femme, because you've always dressed in feminine clothing. You don't mind the dresses, you don't mind. And then you later realize, I'm not actually a femme. I don't relate to the terminology. It doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't help me find community. I'm just a lesbian. I like women and I like to dress more feminine sometimes, and sometimes I don't. There is no harm or shame in being wrong about certain things about ourselves. Words are totally harmless when you're trying to figure things out. They really are something you can try on like clothing. A lot of times we have clothing when we're younger that we feel comfortable in, and as our bodies change and grow and shift and we change and grow and see our relationship to the outside world, we have a different fashion sense. We have a different sense of what really makes us confident and comfortable. I think lesbian identities are very much the same. We don't always know, and sometimes it takes experience in the world to get to know ourselves and grow the confidence it takes to dress how we want to dress and to know what makes us feel right and good in the world. So I don't think it's kind of the same with sexuality. In my opinion, sexuality is not fluid. I'm not fluid. I know some people, for them it might be, but for me, sexuality was never fluid. I was always a lesbian. As soon as my sexuality began to develop, my parents noted that they knew that I was most likely going to be a lesbian by the time I was 7 or 8 years old. So, and that's back in the 70s. I think what happens is our sexuality is always there. We just need time, experience, and more knowledge about not only the world, but mostly about ourselves to figure out where we land. And the world does not make it easy. Nor does the lesbian world make it easy for us to define ourselves in a way that helps. Sometimes we get a lot of false information, especially with the internet. It was, I think, possibly easier for me because I was getting one-on-one contact with other lesbians, butch, femme, and many, many more in between. And on the internet, sometimes it can be confusing because you see the obvious, most visible part of our community, which is butch lesbians, because we have a particular look that stands out a little above kind of like just a lesbian, right? There's something more visibly, there's something more visibly clockable. So it looks like butch and femme are the majority of lesbians, when in fact we are a minority with a minority. I've said this before. Most lesbians are just going to be lesbians, and we love I love lesbians. I don't care if you're butch or femme or everything in between. Just be a lesbian. Be a lesbian, because being a lesbian is amazing. So no, there's no harm in trying things out and finding out. Just because when you were younger you might have loved wearing dresses, to find out that femme is not necessarily just about wearing dresses and makeup. It's very much an energy. It's very much how we connect with other women. It's very much how you connect with the romantic interest in your life, and even the friendships in your life, and just the lesbian community in general. And you might say, you know what? I like to wear dresses. I just don't attach to the femme. When you were a tomboy, when you were younger, lots of tomboys outgrow that to become straight women. They're just tomboys when they're young girls, which is kind of an aesthetic or the hobbies we enjoyed. And there are a lot of straight women who would still be considered tomboy in the way they dress, the way they act, what they do. So, it's just a matter of finding out, allowing yourself to take in information about yourself and the world and how you're perceived and how you perceive yourself, and allowing that to organically be what makes you feel confident and right and better. So no, the short answer is there's no harm in trying out terms and words and even clothing and aesthetics to figure out where you fit and where you're comfortable. That's my opinion, and that's what I have to say to you. So go for it. Wiggle around a little bit in words and clothing and aesthetics, and there you go.